essentially the same disgraceful paper. There are no results. See, they're not going to stay up to report local news. Nothing. Voters head to the polls. Now, do you want to be irrelevant? Well, they are, because they're left-wing lunatics, for one. But then it gets worse. If you want a sports score or a box score, and now in this case, if you want election results, nada. I don't know, seriously, the people who own this paper now and the people who produce it, if they're not embarrassed of themselves, I really don't know. And that's one of you texting. What kind of paper is that rag, the Scranton Times, day after election and no results? It's unbelievable. It's truly amazing. So, two things were pointed out. I don't know the final results. Some have said up to 70% for Cognetti, the do-nothing mayor. I mean, literally do nothing. Talk, a lot of talk, a lot of imagery, a lot of visits with Joe Biden without being able to tell that he was a cognitive mess. But no results. So it's reported that she won the Democrat primary. So that puts the Democrat Scranton voters as probably the dumbest people on the planet. And I have to live amongst them. Oh, well. It's time for the Bloomberg Money Minute. Yeah, it's hard to talk about this intelligently without seeing the results. But we don't have a newspaper in town. We'll be back. May 21st, 1957, 16-year-old Paul Anka recorded his hit Diana at ABC Paramount Studios, New York City. And the American Red Cross, founded by Clara Barton. This date, 1881. So I immediately went, because I think of German Borough up in Lackawanna County as the birthplace of the Red Cross. Now, it's actually, and not directly related to the founding of the American Red Cross, German Borough is known as the birthplace of first aid in America. And as Johnny Carson would say, I did not know that. And that's when a doctor by the name of Matthew Shields instructed 25 miners from the German coal colliery how to provide quick, effective medical care until a physician could reach in time. It was the first. Isn't that fascinating? That was 1881. Same, I apologize. She was 1881. He was 1899, the year my grandfather, Julius Savico, was born. Oh, by the way, speaking of Savicos, I got my my uncle, Jim Savico. He's a trooper, and I lived there for a bit, too. Anyway, he makes these lamps in Dunmore based around energy meters. So I couldn't get the bulb to work down here. I don't know if it was the outlet or whatever, so I brought it home to take a look at it. Well, Chauncey goes charging by, must have stepped on the cord or bit the cord, and pulls it down to the ground. It's smashed. Now, this is it's an heirloom. They're built so well. 20 years, never a problem. All smashed and bent and everything else by stupid Chauncey. And it's now back and repaired and back in my office. I just wanted to mention that. So thank you to the gang at Arkman for putting that back together. I've got two of them. One which burns 24 hours a day at the house in my study, and the other which is in the office down here. Anyway. Yeah, how about this? By the way, let me get back to it. Brian Hughes, who actually does news, he's a left-winger. That's fine. But he's told me this. In the Scranton mayoral race, incumbent Paige Cognetti won the Democrat nomination easily over her opponent, Bob Sheridan. That's a shame. Cognetti will face Republican nominee Trish Bynum. We had her on the other day. And she narrowly edged out Lynn Lebrowski, another good candidate. So Trish Bynum will be the Republican candidate. I told you my man is supposed to be running, Gene Barrett, for mayor as an independent in the fall. We will see, and I certainly hope so. Scranton City Council, Patrick Flynn, Sean McAndrew, and incumbent Councilman Tom Schuster advanced to the general election in Tuesday's crowded Democrat primary. Three good guys. I met them all at where I go to vote at Scranton High School. Good guys. And Schuster, along with another McAndrew, were the only two guys trying to hold back the flood of Mayor Cognetti's insanity. So let us hope, and I will admonish them now and in person, that Sean McAndrew and Patrick Flynn join and replace, which if two or three of them win, replace the three blind mice and their insanity. The only member of the Three Blind Mice to remain is Jessica Rothschild, who is more concerned about bathrooms and transsexuals in sports than she is about the city of Scranton. Again, the same as the mayor. Their left-wing lunatic agenda is everything to them, and the city is nothing. That's why the city's in the condition it's in. That's why our streets are like those in Fallujah after an American carpet bombing. Mark Payne, our man, who came on the air yesterday, He won overwhelmingly the GOP nomination for city council. So he'll be running for city council. Mark Powell, Brian Gallagher, Mark Powell for judge, and Brian Gallagher for DA, our candidate. I don't know that Brian Gallagher won the enough votes for the write-in. I know I wrote him in. Now, Luzerne County. Tom Mosca of Dallas, Mark Buffalino of Wilkes-Barre. Mosca was leading among Republican voters while Buffalino had the edge with Democrat voters, so they'll face off. They're saying it's a rematch, or Brian's saying it's a rematch. And then Hazleton, a government study question, won by 65 to 35. Okay. While in Nanticoke, I love good for you down there. The voters opposed allowing council members to serve for more than 3 consecutive elected terms. That good. 71-29. Good. I'm against term limits, but that's fine. And then Luzerne County Council, our guy lost. What was his name? Knapp. I really liked him. But John Lombardo, Brian Thornton, Greg Wolovich, and past county councilman Stephen Urban, and Southern County resident Jackie Scarcella were the top vote getters on the Republican side. Denise Williams, Dawn Simmons, Chris Bellis, Steve Coslett, Tony Persia topped the Democrat vote. And Walter Griffith is controller. Okay, so it's going to be Griffith against McGinley. McGinley, a county councilman. And then on the other one I was interested in, and we got to go to the news, but Matt Wolford, the guy we've talked to a number of times. Let's see, did he win? Yeah, Wolford was leading at 9 o'clock, 62% of the vote. And then let's see what the Superior Court. Oh, so here's Superior Court. Maria Batista. Now, here's the interesting thing. She defeated Anne-Marie Wheatcraft, who we had a number of times, who's a great candidate. But by the way, so was Batista. She just didn't call us. I would have put her on. I'll put her on the fall. I always liked her. But she just didn't get in touch. Okay, so Batista won that race over Wheatcraft. Fascinating on the Republican side. The Democrats, just so you know, every one of them will be left-wing lunatics. Statewide judicial races. Just so you know. I guarantee it. I'm not even going to mention their names because they will be horrendous judges. Horrendous. Anyway, we've got to go to the news. We're way late. Bob Cordaro, WILK, will return after this. Great good morning, everyone. 10:12 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This rainy but beautiful Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great coming soon Stegmeyer Mansion, to honor the brave who we've lost this year, but who made us and kept us free. People like Lance Jones of Plains, Joseph Munley, Carbondale, Robert Fletcher, Plymouth, Andrew Novak, Warwick, formerly of Dunmore, Bill Laubach, Bloomsburg, and Leroy Ogan, Wallopin. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity for all of you in a mad world where you had Clinton, Obama, and Clinton, and I've got Chuck Schumer, I've got them all. Talking of how tough they are on deporting illegal immigrants, and now it's the devil himself who wants to deport the illegals. It's insane. They're insane. Don't confuse yourself. They are insane. It's them. William gives me an LTS, and he says, Bob, do you realize that Chauncey, my bull mastiff, is a Democrat plant designed to drive you crazy and therefore quit radio? Have the dog checked for a chip that is causing the daily chaos you suffer since Chauncey moved in. Well, William, he's a Republican. Chauncey's he's a true conservative. He's a true conservative. He's a stalwart. I'm going to start bringing him in when he's fully trained. I'll start bringing him in a couple days a week. I'm looking forward to that. Hey, so Bill DeWeese. Now, he's a Democrat, and, I might have to call him a lunatic here and there. He was our former Speaker of the House, one of the most erudite, intelligent characters ever to walk the halls of our state capitol in Harrisburg. And I was connected by some prisoners who are lifers down at SCI Cole Township, I believe it was. And they've life with no possibility of parole, which I find devastating. I'm not like I didn't turn soft and all that because I was in prison. No, not at all. But I also believe very strongly that without hope, there's no point to life. In fact, there's nothing that separates us from the animals like Chauncey. Hope. You've got to have hope. And so we were connected on this very issue, and he is with us today. Bill DeWeese, welcome back. How are you?
I'm in fine fettle. I'm sunny and buoyant and optimistic, even though I'm no longer in the prime of vigorous manhood.
All right. So, by the way, to say hello to Bill DeWeese, it takes him about a minute and a half to say hello back. But it's part of why he's beloved. Bill, first of all, give us a little of your background, if you can do it quickly, because it's a great, your life story is a great story.
Born just a few days before the Korean War was launched in 1950, graduated from public schools in 1968, hit over 411, well, not over 411 in high school. That was my batting average, and got a chance to walk on at Wake Forest University in 1968.
Wow.
And I walked off in 1969 because everybody else was better than I was. And went on to become student body president when Gerald Ford was a congressman, and he was the president of our Parents Association, and Arnold Palmer was the president of our Alumni Association. But I was trying to get girls into the boys' dormitories at Old Baptist Wake Forest, so the president would never let me meet with Arnold Palmer and Gerald Ford. So at the graduation day, at the bottom of my class, I proudly joined the United States Marine Corps and became a lieutenant in the Marine Corps, was trained in the same time span, although I never met either John B. Kelly, former chief of staff to President Trump, or Jim Mattis, who was Secretary of Defense under him. I was trained at the same time, but I want to repeat, I did not meet them. But it went through 9 months, and I say with a smile and immediate commentary, I was 9 months in the mud, but it was 9 months at Quantico, Virginia, and they were firing blanks. But I didn't ever get near a combat situation. I served 3 years to the day and was released from active service for the 3 years on May 29, 1975. So next month I will celebrate 50 years exactly of being discharged honorably from Camp Pendleton, California. I might add parenthetically that Oliver North was my commanding officer for tactics instruction for 6 months. So we were with him every day in the field.
How
and
was
in the
he?
classroom.
What was your reaction to him as you think back on it?
We had 253 young lieutenants, and I think everyone would have followed him to hell and back. He was a very conservative character. He used to give me grief, and when I say used to, 2 or 3 times, I don't want to exaggerate. I certainly was not a stellar participant. I did graduate in the top half of my class. It was 121 out of 253. Do the math. It was pretty close. But he found out that a few months earlier, because we graduated in 73, found out a few months earlier that I had voted for George McGovern against Richard Nixon. And he proclaimed that if Nixon had not won, that we would be fighting the next war with bows and arrows. And he was very disappointed with my selection of the presidential.
So you were a lunatic back then,
yes,
Bill DeWeese.
Yes,
okay.
unalloyed free spirit. I won't argue your comment about lunatic, but I will say free spirit. But I was pretty good at running, jumping, and climbing ropes, so I did okay in those initial phases. And then quite bluntly, within months of my discharge, the incumbent state legislator from Greene and Fayette County was stricken with a malignancy. He passed away, and within 11 months, I was sworn into the state legislature, and the rest is history. I served 36 years, but since you and I both have had some similar experiences, I should say it was 35 years, 11 months, and 14 days before that white-haired, heavy-set bastard put me in handcuffs. Tom Corbett I'm talking about. And I got a 2.5 to 5 for theft of services. Now, I never knew what that was, and I don't think I know what it is today, but they claimed that my people were campaigning in the Capitol building on government hours and getting government money.
Shocked. There's politics in the Capitol.
So although I'm not enamored with the current administration, I do understand the word lawfare.
Mm-hmm.
And bottom line is...
By the way, Bill DeWeese, you were Speaker of the House at one time, correct?
I was blessed. I got there as a very young man. I ran when I was 25. I was elected on U.S. Grant's birthday, April the 27th, sworn in on Stonewall Jackson's death day, May the 10th, and served for all those 36 years or 35 years, 11 months, and 14 days. And yes, I was privileged to be the majority whip, the majority leader, the speaker for approximately 20 out of those 35 years, and served happily with a wide variety of your local political stars, those paladins of the Northeast Pantheon, Kevin Blum and Eddie Day Brzezinski, and innumerable pals of mine from the Scranton area.
Gaynor Cawley, Fred Bellardi
was utterly unique, and the great Fred Bellardi, absolutely. And I was a happy beneficiary of substantial momentum from that end of the state. I came from Greene County, which only had one state rep. And Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, when I ran for leader and speaker, had 49 state reps. So it was a coalition building when I would try to get votes from those two settings, but also from Erie and the great Northeast. And back then, before the big changes, the seismic changes in Pennsylvania politics, we had probably 30 or 35 rural Democrats. Now we have 0.
Yeah. Well, the Democrat Party's gone insane, Bill DeWeese. I mean, I don't know quite what else how to describe it.
Well, when you're trying to support guys swimming on the University of Pennsylvania swimming team, all dressed up in a different kind of bathing suit and a ponytail, you're right. I can't argue that. I'm a very liberal man, but I have to draw the line, and I think we went way too far. Our immigration policies obviously did not succeed, and I will tell you that when I saw that commercial that Miss Harris was for they and them and Donald Trump is for you, yeah. I knew the whole thing was over. It was absolutely over.
Now, all right. So, Bill DeWeese, let's because I have to have you on again just for general purposes. But let's go to the subject at hand. We have gotten to know you even more so than I. Some lifers who literally have no chance, even though they reformed themselves. We've spent time with them, you even more than I. We've communicated with them, and they don't have any chance at life. And they know they made mistakes, and they've admit they made mistakes. What can be done for them? Anything? Or?
Well, right now, they don't even have a chance to talk to the parole board. And I think we're among 9 states that don't have a chance. But as you've seen with the Menendez brothers in California, and you can go to almost any other statewide jurisdiction, there's at least an opportunity for people convicted of life to talk to a parole board after 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years and see if there is a chance for release eventually, and certainly if there is rehabilitation. But apropos of my own circumstances, I was with approximately 1,200 people at SCI retreat at Hunlock Creek, Pennsylvania, which was a unique experience in my many experiences, from the Great Wall of China to Red Square to the pyramids of Egypt, et cetera, et cetera. But there was no place like Hunlock Creek. But
well, I had a saying, Bill, particularly, I was in 11 different prisons, but at the one prison in particular, it dawned on me. I said, among the 1,200 inmates I'm with, there's probably about 1,000 bodies spread throughout the country. And I said, but I mean, yeah, they were murders, but maybe they got it off their chest.
They had a bad day.
Yeah. But what was your reaction in meeting with some of these men? I was beyond impressed. There wasn't a bitterness. There wasn't an anger. There was an acknowledgement that they were bad people at one time who did bad things, but that they had reformed themselves, and not all in a completely attributable to religion, but attributable to gained wisdom. I was just impressed with the guys.
Approximately 1,200, just a little south of 1,200 people, and we had 96 that were doing life, and a substantial number were on my block, and I did get to know them. And the reason they were on my block was because of my age. I was not incarcerated till I was 62. I was in there from the age of 62 to 64, just short of 23 months. And I did a rap song, which I won't belabor you with right now, but one of the lines was guys doing life were my best friends. And that's pretty much where this rap ends. Ain't got no quarrel with the DOC. My frickin' bitch is with the OAG. It goes for almost 2 minutes, so I won't test the tolerance of your lobbyist.
That sample was a pretty good taste. I like it.
Yeah. Down on B Block in cell 13, things were kind of tough and life was sort of mean. My little hut was 12 by 8, a shit or a bunk in a cardboard crate. metal desk bolted to the floor, wire mesh window in a big steel door. I mean, it's a wonderfully melodious effort for an elderly Caucasian lunatic.
Yeah, I'll tell you, all my rapper friends were black. So,
well, they call me the cracker rapper.
Well, cracker rapper, we're gonna do this again. Let's keep in touch. I want to talk more about this subject and maybe what we can do to advance. At least they just want a hearing. They're not saying, "Oh, I want to get out."
We need to get them, and there are legislative efforts right now in the General Assembly from a bipartisan nature. And I might add, as we conclude, that I am married to a Republican, and
Thank
my
God.
mother is in heaven, and she's a Republican.
There's got to be some sense in the family. That's good.
But my wife is a member of the state Senate, and she is 100% in favor of these people getting a hearing in front of the parole board. And it might be 20 or 25 or 30 years, but as we conclude, many of the people I was with of the 96, I probably knew 3/4 of them pretty well after almost 2 years. They deserve a hearing, and some of them had absolutely flawless records of behavior while they were in the jug.
Great stuff. Bill DeWeese, former Speaker of the House, former Marine, the whole bit. Well, no, you're always a Marine. You're not a former Marine.
It's our birthday coming up.
Amen. We'll talk again. We want to hear some stories from you because we'll get off this subject, but always drift back to it. These lifers and their plight. But I thank you for coming on. And
after I finish my memoir, I want you to have me on your show. That should be within the next 18 to 24 months.
Oh, we love to sell books. Well, you'll be on before then. It's too enjoyable.
Take good care, and I'll always remain a bon vivant.
Bill DeWeese, former Speaker of the House. We'll take a break. We'll come back with our Veterans Tribute. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his incredible companies. I had the opportunity to tour the Mary Stegmeyer and the Fred Stegmeyer mansions. The Mary Stegmeyer mansion more appropriate than for our purposes. It is going to be opening soon once again. A restaurant venue for events. It's extraordinary. I thought I was in Newport. I truly did. And I was on South Franklin Street, Wilkes-Barre. On top of that, a little more contemporary and new, Queen City Tavern coming online within a week or so. Great places. That doesn't count the Old Brook Inn, Atera 519, Sergei's, The Nightclub, and the Far Street Tavern, which I was at last Friday. Amazing stuff. Robert Fletcher. He was 80. He was from Plymouth when he died, March 31st. He was born in Wilkes-Barre. Graduate of Dallas High School. He worked with AAA Travel for most of his career, working in all aspects of the great AAA. He was a member of the Huntsville Methodist Church. He served this country and all of us proudly in the Pennsylvania National Guard. One of his favorite pastimes was cooking. Preceded in death by siblings. Survived by his sons, Jonathan and wife Karen in Oxford, PA, Robert in Lawrenceville. Also grandchildren, Zuriel, Cole, and Cordelia Fletcher. Robert Fletcher. Andrew Novak. He was 84 when we lost him to March 30th. He lived on Canna Street in Warwick. Born in Dunmore, he enjoyed a very happy and loving life with his beloved wife of over 50 years, Barbara. He loved spending time with his children and especially his two grandchildren who would make him smile from ear to ear. Woodworking, fishing, playing chess, gardening. He belonged to the Warwick Historical Society and the Metal Detecting Club. He loved a good martini and a cigar. Proudly worked for Northrop Grumman for 35 years. He worked on fighter jets, including his favorite, the F-14 Tomcat. He also worked on the Lunar Excursion Model during the Apollo program, the LEM. He would tell great stories of the time he served in the Army, stationed in Korea. He worked on the radio relay for missiles in that country. He's survived by his children, 2 grandchildren, 5 step-grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and other family members. Andrew Novak. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga. The Stegmeyer Mansion coming soon. And Queen City Tavern coming just as soon. Both getting underway before the end of this month. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, cloudy and cool, periods of rain, 55 degrees. Tonight, clouds with showers, low of 48. Thursday, cloudy with rain, 55. Friday, clouds with scattered showers, 55 degrees. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. Hey, every year, Memorial Day comes around, and 2 things happen in Jessup, Pennsylvania. One that's only conducted in one other place on the planet, Gubbio, Italy, and that's the Race of the Saints. But another that has been a celebration that's actually longer, because it starts tomorrow night, or maybe even tonight, the Jessup Hose Company #2 Carnival. And our man Dom Perini is with us once again this year. Dom, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you, my friend?
Good, sir. It's a pleasure to be back.
Tell us. Go ahead.
I can't tell you, Bob, what an honor it is to listen to you honor them veterans.
Oh,
And,
it's a tribute.
And John Basiliga doesn't do anything that's not right. That bar in Oliphant is gorgeous. He just remodeled.
Yep.
Gorgeous. And he just does things right. So I just wanted to bring that out first. Because
he's got apartments. His J Bass Realty Company has apartments, beautiful apartments in Oliphant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He does everything right when he does it. He's not cheap. He doesn't take shortcuts. That's just the way the guy does it.
And he loves our veterans, even just as relevant, you know?
Hey, listen, put money where your mouth is. That's what's important.
That's right. He does. Well, let's talk about putting a little money up at the Jessup Hose Company No. 2 Carnival this weekend. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. It goes from today until the 26th, and there's no more tickets. We don't sell any more tickets. Everything is a wristband. So the whole event, when you come, you get the opportunity to buy a wristband, which allows you to ride all the rides all the time. So that's a big change that we made, and we did it last year, and it seems to be working excellent. Of course, every night we have entertainment. One night, tonight's a DJ. Tomorrow night's Project 19. Friday is Lightweight's the name of the band. It's also the Fireman's Parade at 6:30.
Oh, neat.
Saturday, of course, is the St. Ubaldo festivities all day long, actually. And, folks, if you've never seen this, you got to come and see this. I just came back from Gubbio Saturday.
Oh, did you make it out there? Great.
I did, sir. And it's breathtaking. I mean, you can't even explain the number of people that go to this thing in Gubbio. And we tried to copy as much as we can in Jessup. Of course, we're a lot smaller than Gubbio, but we still try to do it the way they do it in Gubbio. And we seem to be doing a good job. And we have Italians coming here now. They picked them up at the airport yesterday, and 3 more are coming today. So back and forth they go, and we're doing a great job. Then, of course, the fireworks display is on Friday night at 10 o'clock, Sunday night at 10 o'clock. And the band on Sunday is that Halfway to Hell, which is an AC/DC tribute.
Neat. I've heard great things about them.
Yeah, they do a remarkable job, and they're playing from 8 to midnight. And then, of course, they'll stop for us to do the fireworks display. S&S Amusements are your host. They just brought a brand-new Ferris wheel, gorgeous Ferris wheel. And it's up in Jessup. Just came in May. It's up in Jessup, and it's out of this world.
Dominic Perini, Jessup Hose Company No. 2, just like so many of our other great volunteer fire groups, people maybe don't give it a second thought, but there's 2 things that they need to remember. Number one, this fundraiser, which they could go and have fun at, helps you protect them.
Yes.
All of this effort is to protect the people of Jessup and the surrounding towns. And man, just for that reason alone, it deserves support. And all of your gang, all of your members, if they're called upon, they're going to risk their lives for the people of Jessup and the surrounding towns. That's 2 things that people really need to remember, and that they've got to support. Not only these events, but year-round groups like the Jessup Hose Company No. 2.
And Bob, these are all volunteers.
Yeah.
Nobody gets any money. The money that we raise from this carnival probably pays 60% of our operating expenses.
Yeah.
And, and again, we're calling for rain every day. But you know what? Here's my thought on this. Let it rain all at once, except between 6 and 11.
I think you're going to be okay, weather-wise.
That's all we need. We need 6 to 11. And if the good Lord allows us that, then we'll provide everything else to the people.
Beautiful. Don Perini, Jessup Hose Company No. 2 Carnival starting tonight through Sunday night. There are rides, there's food, there's music, and a little thing in town called the Sant Ubaldo race.
Yes. And for anyone who doesn't know where Jessup is, you just come up the Casey Highway, get off exit 3, turn left, and it's all downhill from there.
Dom, a great pleasure. Have a blast this whole weekend. I hope to see you.
Well, come up and say hi.
All right, my man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Keep it up.
Don Perini, Jessup Host Company #2 Carnival tonight, tomorrow night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, bands, the whole package. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Murph tells us this date, 1964. The Drifters recorded their hit Under the Boardwalk. Johnny Moore. He was singing lead vocals after the death of Rudy Lewis, who died the night before. Didn't do a bad job, did he? We play our prison band. And I told you, they were so good, wrote tons of great original music. We played this, and it gave me an appreciation for the song. I love it. And, of course, before that, the United States explodes its first airborne hydrogen bomb over Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. The bad old days. Yeah. So, all right, let's go right to the blower because we got guys who've been very patient with us. Let's go to Bill from Pittston. Bill, welcome. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, and that was a really cool conversation with your friend Bill. That's the way it should be when you debate Democrats or even talk to them. You can have humor, and it was just really cool.
He's a really fun guy. Although when we talk on the phone, it's like I have to do like 17 different tasks because he'll tie you up all afternoon. But always interesting character.
Yeah, this earlier this week after Waltz gave his speech at that college,
I
was so outraged. I called and I figured do something a little different. I got the answering machine, so I said, Timmy, you big knucklehead, what the heck are you doing with that speech? I said some people would think you're going to incite somebody to take somebody out like Trump. I said any right-thinking person would think that, but I know better. I know you're trying to get another career. You want to be a comedian, you big knucklehead. So I said, but you got to change your shtick. You got to change the material because it's not funny, and people could not possibly understand it, even though you think it's funny. And by the way, I heard you got an acting job. They're reintroducing the Andy Griffith Show from Mayberry, and you applied for the job of Andy, but the only one they could give you was Goober. But on the bright side, the role of Otis went to Kamala. Perfect casting. So take care, knucklehead. Keep up the good work.
Any response?
No.
He is a complete idiot. I said he is Rip Taylor without confetti. What a jackass! He's a total jackass. It astounds me what an idiot he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also made a call to Bernie Sanders' office, and I got a hold of one of his aides, and I said to him, what's going on with this Russian talk? I said, are we back in 1917? Nobody knows what an oligarchy is. All my Democratic neighbors are asking me to define oligarchy. I said, well, you'll be talking about being put in a gulag if Bernie keeps on going that way. I said, it's crazy. I was saying to this aide, and I know she was getting frustrated. I said, he's back in 1917. I said, when he used to go tobogganing in Siberia. I don't know what's going on with that guy. And she was very polite. She goes, thank you for your call.
Well, oligarchs are the definition of oligarch in the dictionary. It's a person who flies a private jet while taking the cars away from everybody else. That's an oligarch. They're so good. Phony, hypocritical. It's disgusting.
I also said to her, I noticed he started saying the billionaires are stealing money from people, not millionaires. Since he's a millionaire,
yeah.
He upgraded his attack.
We played a piece, which is sadly true, is he didn't become a millionaire and earn it. The lobbyists went and bought his books. The lobbyists who want his vote bought his books, and that's how he earned his advance of $2.5 million. I mean, it's insane. This has nothing to do with he's a great author. People are dying to hear what Bernie has to say. It's a scam. Writing a book for politicians is a money-making scam. That's what it is. Unreal.
Talking about books, I just got Original Sin, that Dick Tapper book.
Tapper, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to buy it because I didn't want to give him the money, but it is fascinating. He still yields to Biden in certain cases, but he comes down really hard on him and others because it's undeniable.
I wonder if he'll come out with an add-on, an addendum for the cancer fiasco.
Oh, yeah.
Unreal.
Yes, it is. You have that book.
No, I do not. No.
Well, when I finish, I'll just drop it off if you don't mind.
All right. Well, and stop and say hello when you drop it off, would you? Would you wait?
Okay.
At least shake hands, all right?
Sounds good.
All right, Bill. Thank you very much. All right, let's. Donald from Pittston. Hi, Donald. We only have. You want to?
Yeah.
Can you be held over? Because I know
Yeah,
you've been patient.
definitely. It's very important about Medicaid. I want to talk.
All right. Because it is 11 o'clock. It is time for the news. It is time for Brian Hughes. Let's do that. We'll come back on the Bob Cordaro Show. We'll return. Great good morning, everyone. 11:07 a.m. here in the great Northeast this beautiful Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and two properties coming soon, the Stegmeyer Mansion and Queen City Tavern, Ray Do, to honor the brave. Veterans we lost this year, but who kept us free. People like Andrew Novak, Warwick, formerly of Dunmore, Robert Fletcher, Plymouth, Lance Jones, late of Florida, but he was from Plains. Joseph Munley, also late of Florida, from Carbondale. Bill Laubach, Bloomsburg, and Leroy Ogan, Wallopin. So, with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Yeah, we're committed to it. And we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you through the balance of the hour in a world where an entire major political party has lost its mind and are being guided by the dumbest, most idiotic lunatics we've ever seen in government. It's quite astonishing. By the way, a lot of people saying, play that clip more often, the one we did in the last hour. This is another one. But the hypocrisy and the lying is pointed out by almost any issue you want. We've played the Doge of Joe Biden and the Medicare and Medicaid, Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. And now they're outraged. It's unbelievable. I mean, you know this is out there. And that you go forth and make a fool of yourself. HVAC dude says, love prison talk. Been there, done that. Never read so many books and newspapers in my life. Also, do you like Pinochle? No. Best card game there is, says HVAC dude. I remember I'm in Brooklyn, the place that made P. Diddy cry. I'm in Brooklyn for one of my 3 stops there. And the guys are playing guards. They go, how much time you got? I said, 11 years. They said, do you play cards? I said, no. They said, you better start. But here's what happens in prison. The guy's like, you get a card game at 7 o'clock. You better be there. And I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't sign up for a job because I figured I'll learn. And what the hell? It's you're passing time. And so I just went back to reading. I said, enough. Oh, Bob, you're 5 minutes late. I mean, yeah, I'm going to get in a fight over cards and what time I got there. And I'm going to go rushing around the prison campus trying to get in to the card game in time. So, yeah, I never took up cards. Crazy stuff. And, hey, that's what they got. That's what they've got. So, yeah, HVAC dude, as soon as it turned out to be a job, I gave it up. Somebody says, Big Pharma gave Bernie a ton of money that most people don't even know about. He's the top. He's the tops in contributions from Big Pharma. And you know what he says? Oh, I didn't take any money from the companies. He took it from their executives. And by the way, pharma executives bought his book. It's insane. Phony fool. And ignorant of history, ignorant of everything. All right, he was patient with us. Donald from Pittston. Howdy, Donald.
Okay, I want to crunch some numbers for you. That's why I called. Now, this is very important with Medicaid. Now, the Trump base, that arena base of his is like the income is anywhere from $15,000, I'd say, to $150,000. I know these people. I drove them in my taxi cabs. Okay. With that said, now this Medicaid thing. All right. A lot of them people, they have a grandmother, a grandfather, a mother, a dad, an aunt, an uncle in one of these nursing homes. There's 650 nursing homes across the Commonwealth. 63% of their home funding comes from Medicaid.
Yes.
So, like I said, they're holding up this bill for Trump. These, I don't know if it's Karl Rove, I call them Bush Republicans. I think they're doing it deliberately. They're even having a protest of a Dunmore health care about the staff. And a lot of them, I know them. They're actually Trump voters for Medicaid protection and stuff. So we got to, before the midterms come here, because Page is going to run on this. And these other ones we have to.
Donald, I looked at the bill, and I will stand corrected. That is one of the major areas is nursing home payments. And there are no cuts slated for that program, period. I don't even know where they're getting it from.
They're lying,
I truly
like
don't.
RFK Jr.
Yeah.
You pulled that out, that clip with RFK Jr., how they lie. It's terrible.
I don't understand. Why would you lie? Because, man, the next time nobody's going to listen. But because of the media being the way it is, I guess they figured they could get away with lying. The main cuts in Medicaid expenditures are illegal aliens and able-bodied workers. That's it. That's where the cuts are coming from.
Remember, I called you 2 years ago, a year ago. You say, Donald, what are you talking about? You say, I have to research that. Well, I did. You were right. I was wrong. I didn't want to tell a lie. I researched it, and you were telling me the truth. So I told you the truth. I said, I have to research it. You said, well, Donald, you always say that. I researched. I just gave you the numbers. I ran the numbers here. But they're lying to get back in power, and they'll let they're afraid to even arrest a criminal. You'll have the criminals will be running the asylum. The border will be open. Everybody will get Medicare. It'll be a mess. They'll destroy the system.
If they get back in power, the lunacy of the Biden administration will think of that as the good old days.
Oh, God, it'll be a mess. They'll be operating on kids. School teachers will be taking kids. It's a gender operation. These people are completely. I just think they're. I'm not attacking them as husbands or wives or whatever bad family members, but they have an evil ideology. I mean, I don't know. It's like really evil. It's corruption.
And we love them. We love them, so we can't let them cross the street because they defy reality to such an extent they may not see the bus coming.
Oh, that's horrible. I mean, like I said, we're not attacking them as husbands or fathers or anything like that, like John McCain said about that time. But it's fundamental issues. They're so wrong on the issues, and by they're wrong, they're destroying the country at the same time. They're poisoning our water, and they don't realize that our drinking water. That's what they're actually doing, and they have to be stopped. But they're using these. See, this is the thing with the Doge. They're using these cuts, and they're making progress with this nonsense. The cuts to Social Security that aren't happening and Medicaid, like you said, with the nursing homes. So we got to straighten that out for the midterms. If not, oh God, it's going to be a mess.
If we pass the country, and I'm saying we, not Republican Party, if the country passes, the Congress passes what is called the Big Beautiful Bill, and it is far from perfect, and the tax cuts for tips, Social Security, and overtime go through. The best working man policy that has ever existed in this country, things will turn around, and they'll turn around really quickly.
But like you say, you have to win the war. 6 months from now, you know what they're going to do? They're all going to be moderates. Wonderful moderates. Oh, yeah, we'll look at it. And then, it proved it. Like Gutfield said, as soon as he got in there, Biden, he was no longer a moderate. He was so far off the reservation. It was unbelievable. I mean, as far as with the socially.
I know it. Donald, always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend. Andrew from Jersey. How are you, Andrew?
Hey, pretty good, Bob. Yeah, just want to say it's amazing.
This call will be recorded.
The Jake Tapper.
Are you calling from prison?
No, I just want to keep it in case I can't download the podcast. Okay. But I like your pinochle story. My Slovak relatives, my dad and uncles, they would play pinochle. but they're the only people that I knew that played that, but that reminded me of them.
I'm
But
wired
they
at
were
the
good,
point.
honest
I'm
men,
hardwired
like
to
you.
not be able to learn games at this point.
And the Jake Tappers of the world, he did the interview with Megyn Kelly, and he said that Joe Biden stutters, which is a lie. There's footage of Biden from the 70s till present, and he doesn't stutter. He never stuttered.
That was
Having
actually
memory
that
loss
was with
is
Laura
not
Trump.
stuttering.
That was Laura Trump.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, and he criticized Laura Trump. Well, kids that stutter, it's actually them who are being mean to kids that stutter because faking that he has a stutter.
Jake Tapper, in that interview with Laura Trump, he was outraged that she questioned his mental capacity. Outraged. Oh, what a phony.
Just like a great guy, Muhammad Ali, civil rights fighter, he had issues in Parkinson's. We all saw that. So we don't. They would say, well, you're not a doctor. You're not a neuro. Yeah, but we see Biden on TV. We see that he has memory and physical. He's not stuttering. He can't remember dates. So just the fact that they would continue to lie, like as if they didn't know, is a lie. Then they say, oh, you're making fun of a stutter. When has he ever stuttered? Show me one clip of him stuttering. It's not stuttering. It's memory loss. So it's just astounding that he would tell such an egregious lie. Like, I can't believe it.
It's amazing.
But it's good. We're exposing
stuff.
him, and everybody knows he's a liar.
Yep.
But keep up the good work, Bob.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. We've got to take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. We want to hear from our great sponsors. They make it all possible. We've got a little history, a little music, and then we'll be back to talk to you. 570-883-0098. Yeah, I had to wait for that. Mamas and the Papas, number one hit with Monday. Murph says this date, 1966. I don't have a problem with Mondays. I get to be back with you guys. I'm not kidding. No, not this Monday because it's Memorial Day, but I'm like, wow, I'm back. I'm back with the gang, back with this large, growing, and dysfunctional family, and I love it. We got some good stuff coming up. We got some a guest talking to us about MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, tomorrow. Friday, we have the Supreme Court reporter for the Washington Examiner to let us know what's been happening legally in a recent decision favorable to the Trump administration on illegal immigrants. All of that. By the way, HVAC dude says, what about chess? Some of the best chess players ever in prison. I didn't enjoy it enough to lose because they were good. You're right. And they were devoted to it. So I didn't play cards. I didn't play chess. I didn't play basketball because that was a way to start problems. I worked out. Because, yeah, the rest of it, fraught with danger. The only problem with walking and running is there would always be someone who would come in the path that you were running, and they weren't marked or anything, but they would come in the path you were running. Well, they actually, in a couple of places they were. And they would wait to see if you would move out of the way as you were approaching each other. In other words, they'd go the opposite direction coming at you. And invariably, and I said, it's two ways to choose to live. And I'm neither a fighter nor a tough guy. But when someone was coming at me and I knew what he was doing, I put my shoulder down and I knocked him the hell out of the way and kept going. And it never happened again with the same person. But even doing things by yourself could lead to issues. When I'd laugh, I laughed as much, maybe even more in prison than I do now. And I did. I had a sunny outlook. I figured I'm getting out any day. I'm going to win one of my appeals. Well, it didn't happen, but so. And certain people hated that. They didn't want you to enjoy your life despite where you were. But somebody said, what prison? I was in 11. They moved me around when I wouldn't talk, and and I wasn't always cooperative. We'll say that. So, yeah, I was in 11 different prisons. Part of that was because I would go back. I came back to court a couple of times. Once in the federal court in Wilkes-Barre, the Max Rosen courthouse, and once in Scranton. So that's part of it. The rest of it was, they like moving you around because you get settled. And then when you got to gather up all your stuff and move and you don't know what's going to make it on the trip, and you got to reestablish yourself in front of another gang. I don't mean gang literally. although there were plenty of those. But another group of prisoners, they liked that. They liked doing that. But yeah, what prison? Short version, I was in Brooklyn 3 times, the P. Diddy Palace, now the P. Diddy Palace. Canaan, I think 4 times. I was in Allenwood. I was in Otisville. I was in Fort Dix, and Otisville and Fort Dix, 2 of the prisons at those facilities. I was at Pike County Prison, Columbia County Prison, and I was in Philadelphia, the lockup downtown. You drive by it 100 times, you would never know it was there. You would never know it was there. It looks like an office building with thin windows near Chinatown in Philly. And I was there a bunch of times. Well, they moved me so much because they didn't like me. They didn't like me, and I wasn't cooperative in terms of talking and about other people that they wanted me to talk about and all that kind of thing. So yeah, we didn't get along. I went up to the warden at Fort Dix the one time, and he was a phony. He'd have this fake smile all the time. So I figured, the guy has a sense of humor. I go up to him one time, I go, "Warden," I said, "Look, things aren't working out for me being in prison." I said, let me go home before one of us gets upset. And the smile turned to a frown. I said, I better get out of here before he finds out who I was. But unfortunately, he did. And I wasn't in that prison much longer. I thought it was a funny line. It didn't work out that way. Anyway, it's the Bob Cordaro Show, WILK. We'll take a break. We want to hear from our great sponsors, and then we want to do our Veterans Tribute and the weather, and then more with you, 570-883-0098. We'll be back. Our veterans this hour and every hour. this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and family of companies, the Basiliga Group. Whether it's Eastern Roofing Systems, JBAS Realty, Commercial, Residential, Serenity Care, Elder Care in Luzerne and Lackawanna County, or Basiliga Hospitality, two great venues coming back online in Oliphant. The Queen City Tavern, totally reimagined. You're going to love it. I got pictures of it yesterday from the GM. And then Justin will be on with us, hopefully, next week to talk about that opening. And then the Stegmeyer Mansion. Travel to Newport without driving for 6 hours. You're going to love it. Leroy Ogan, Army veteran, enjoyed hunting and fishing. His nickname was Killer. He was 84. He was from Wapwallopin. Born in Nanacoke, he was a graduate of Newport High School and proudly served us in the United States Army. In 1965, he wed the former Gail Samsel. They raised their son and shared more than 59 years of marriage. Leroy was a member of St. Paul's United Church of Christ in Hobby. For more than 40 years, he worked at Ed Spencer's Auto Parts, retiring in 2006. Surviving are his son, Leroy Jr., there in Wapwallopin, grandsons, and was sadly preceded in death by his wife, Gail. Leroy Ogan. William Bill Lawback, Navy veteran. He enjoyed Lionel train collecting. Bill Lawback, a lifelong resident of Bloomsburg. He died March 25th at the age of 90, born in West Pittston. His family says he was a man of quiet dignity, grounded in the values of family, faith, and service. He served us honorably as gunner's mate 3rd class in the United States Navy during the Korean conflict, where he exemplified courage and patriotism while serving on the USS Mississippi and USS Cross. His most cherished personal achievement was his marriage to his wife, the former Donna Eichler, a union that lasted an incredible 61 years. He enjoyed collecting Lionel trains, a hobby he would display for his family during Christmas festivities. His whole world was his family, his girls, and his grandson. Preceded in death by his wife, Donna, but survived by his daughters and his grandson, Bill Lawback. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by Basiliga Hospitality, the soon-to-be Stegmeyer Mansion, and the reimagined Queen City Tavern. Hey, I was going to tell you about something, but Bulldog said it's the time for the weather. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, cloudy and cool, periods of rain, high 55. Tonight, clouds with showers, low 48. Thursday, cloudy with rain, high 55. Friday, clouds with scattered showers, high 55. So, don't forget about that Jessup Hose Company #2. It's a lot of fun. It's very well done, the carnival. And there's going to be dry stretches, and the food's good, and the bands are good. And on Saturday, you're going to be right at the festivities for St. Ubaldo, which is just classic. Hey, WILK, we got a contest with Giant Floor. 60 years. They're giving you a chance to win 3 rooms of carpeting installed with padding, valued at $1,965 the year Giant Floor opened. Giant Floor has been around since 1965. Currently locations, Bartonsville, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Go to WILKNewsRadio.com. Click contest to enter. You can enter once per day. I love Giant Floor. The Rascals. Murph says this date, 1966, they moved up to number 3 with that great song, Good Lovin'. Somebody texts in, Bob, the people of Scranton need brain transplants for voting for that, unless that useless Mayor Paige Cognetti. Ask yourself this question, are you better off now with higher taxes and property assessments that will only add more money to your cost of living? You people of Scranton don't get any sympathy from me. Well, feel sorry for me. I don't support her. And I'm stuck with the streets. I got to drive serpentine to avoid all the potholes that Pothole Page left. It staggers me. But so many people, they're still voting for Democrats nationally and statewide, blindly, stupidly. They don't care if they're left-wing lunatics. They don't care if they don't get anything done. Their image they like. And by the way, that's all the Democrats do now, because they're ashamed of their policy positions. They are ashamed of them. They don't want to disclose them. They hide them. Oh, yeah, they'll tell you what they're... Oh, Trump is a Hitler. Dear God. Unbelievable. Oh, so Columbia's acting president denounces the occupation of the campus library 2 weeks ago. Now, she's Claire Shipman. Many of you, if you followed mainstream, left-stream news back in the day, she was, I believe, an NBC reporter. So she's a left-winger. These idiots are still protesting against Israel. And by the way, not one protest against the savage subhumans who slaughtered 1,200 people and took hundreds of hostages, including Americans, on October 7th, 2023. What is this about? It's pure, unmitigated insanity. You show me a protester for Hamas and the Gazans, I'll show you an idiot. There's really nothing to say good about them. There are no redeeming qualities if you think that's okay. In fact, if you think that's great. Protesting against the people who got attacked, who got slaughtered. It's insanity. And the Democrat Party's all in. They're all in on these savages and savage supporters. It's beyond my comprehension. And then you go to the next issue, boys and girls sports and locker rooms and bathrooms. Now, at least here, you can have great compassion, and I do, for kids with gender dysphoria. Well, sorry, you're a child. You can't get a tattoo. You can't smoke cigarettes. You can't drink beer. And you can't have sex change procedures. You'll either outgrow it or you'll make an adult decision one way or the other when you're an adult. Frankly, I don't trust parents half the time. They think some of these complete idiot left-wingers think it's great that they've got a kid that's got that serious of a problem. Oh, yeah, we got a transsexual in our family, too. It's an Upper West Side cocktail party conversation. Speaking of brain transplants. But this is the Democrat Party. This is our mayor in Scranton. All in on the policy. All in on everything. And then it gets worse. Not only is she a left-wing lunatic, as are her the supporters on council, but she can't do the job. You can't build a pool in 5 years. There's piles of dirt there. By the way, with the money already in hand. Can't pave the streets. Can't fix City Hall. Oh, but you can get the urinals out. He says, I nicknamed South Washington Avenue in Scranton the South Side Slalom. It's like you're skiing down Mount Taj Mountain, swerving side to side. WTF, LTS. LTS back at you. I know it. So he says, Bob, all the Democrats have is cuts to social safety net, to seniors, veterans, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And by the way, all lies. Same old Democrat playbook. Somebody else same person, tell your listeners not to fall for this rubbish. Another, Bob, I live in Carmel, but I work in Scranton and pay taxes to use the roads every day, and it's not cheap. Every week, my contribution. I'm paying to destroy my vehicle and blow out my tires. Get rid of Mayor Cognetti and get someone in who cares about Scranton. Fix the streets. You paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to a consultant to put in bike lanes so that we have nowhere to park. It's outrageous, and obviously 60-some hundred odd Scrantonian Democrats are dumb enough to vote for her. And then it's the double whammy because we've got Bill Gaughan as county commissioner who jacked up our taxes without even listening to what the minority commissioner had to offer, Chris Chermak. And by the way, Bill Gaughan and Paige Cognetti gave you Joe Biden Street and Joe Biden Expressway. What more do we need to say about their incompetence and their insanity? Not much more, do we? It's unreal. Joe from Drift Park says the consultants have won the Democrat primary. Oh, I can't wait till the contributions have to be published. Awful. Absolutely awful. Someone texted in, Bob, if you watch the last 10 minutes of the commissioners' meeting, you'll learn all you need to know about Bill Gaughan. Left-wing phony. Fool. God bless him. He's an idiot. And he's awful at his job. And he's trying to use your tax money to file an illegal lawsuit so that he can determine who the top dog is in Lackawanna County Democrat Party, him or Marty Flynn. Wow. Yeah, somebody said Ken Jaworski was the king of using the cuts in Social Security. I know, Paul always lied. I like Paul, but man, he's off the reservation. I think he's still alive. I don't think he died, did he? Slick says, Bob LTS, I had straight married friends who are big Biden supporter whose 2 kids are now cisgender, bisexual, LGBTQ, and whatever else. What are the chances that both kids are like that? The chances are 0. The chances are 0. And it's a life of pain. And man, if something like that happened, okay. They deserve all the love and support you could possibly give them. But they cannot make that decision until they're adults. I mean, that's the Club for Common Sense. Well, if that's not common sense, nothing is. Yeah. All right. It's time to take our commercial break. And we're going to find out what's happening in the markets. Bloomberg Money Minute. We'll do that. We'll come back and wrap things up. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Deep Purple. Murph says they released their hit Smoke on the Water this date, 1973. What are we finishing with, Bulldog? Did I say Neil Diamond? Solitary Man? Okay. Because there was the Isley Brothers would shout, because Ronald Isley was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, this date, 1941. We didn't get there. Somebody asked, how did Bob Bolus do? Well, I guess he didn't come in the running. On the write-in. He had good candidates there, though. He had good candidates on the Republican side for mayor, and you're talking about very few votes. So Trish Bynum, which, by the way, somebody texted in about what a great person she is, and I believe that, and that's great. We'll, hey, we're going to talk about her. If Jean, I tell you though, straight out, if Gene Barrett's running, that's who I'm for. But we'll see. We'll see how that all shakes out. By the way, Mother Trees for May 21st. Mary Regina lovingly reminding me to get with it. It says, we are called to cultivate that sacred silence which makes people remember the words of Jesus. See how they love one another. How often we find ourselves speaking about the faults of another. How often our conversations about someone who is not present. Yet see the compassion of Christ towards Judas, the man who received so much love yet betrayed his own master. But the master kept the sacred silence and did not betray Judas. Jesus could have easily spoken in public, as we often do, telling the hidden intentions and deeds of Judas to others. But he didn't. Instead, he showed mercy and charity. Rather than condemning Judas, he called him his friend. Well, we've got a little different duty than Christ here. And we call them friends, and some of them we even love and like. But our job is to call out idiots and idiocy. That's a little different job. But Mother Teresa for May 21st. Thank you, Mary Regina, and for the reminders. She said, is it too late to read a Mother Teresa prayer? No, we got it in, Mary Regina. Hey, great to be with you guys today. Absolutely loved it. Day after the election. Nothing too pleasing to report. But that's why we have our veterans. Andrew Novak, Warwick, born Dunmore. Robert Fletcher, Plymouth, born Wilkes-Barre. Lance Jones, late of Florida, but from Plains. Joseph Munley, late of Florida, but from Carbondale. Bill Laubach, Bloomsburg, born West Pittston. Leroy Ogan, Wallopin, born Nanacoke. Our great veterans today, thanks to John Basiliga and his... I'm still overwhelmed looking at those Stegmeyer mansions. Guys, you're gonna go gaga over them. Just another amazing project spanning all of Northeast Pennsylvania at this point. Good stuff. For now, though, we got to go. I have no choice. The Sue Henry Show is next. The Rob O'Donnell Show after that. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow. But at this point, I must say adios and gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Have a great afternoon.